Yes, sir.
Thank you. It may be politically incorrect to speak this way. There are so many young people now attending university. It's very difficult to get into universities. It's very difficult to get into the more elite and just the general universities where you still learn very well. And you have this group of students who are going, but most of them, at least where I come from, don't seem to be going from public schools. They're going from private schools because the system, again, where I come from, the system in the public schools is totally dysfunctional. When I grew up, and when my kids grew up, the public schools were much better. We were a more homogeneous population, and even the people who came, who emigrated from Europe and other areas, fit into the educational system. Their parents wanted them to get into the system, and they encouraged them. Now, it's not quite like that anymore. You have so many coming from places where this wasn't encouraged. And I don't know how, without the government forcing parents, which they're not supposed to do, how we can get around this particular problem and get away from this elite group of students who will learn and guide us and the whole rest of the population of students. It almost seems like it's an impossible situation.
Well, I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. I think one of the things that makes it possible is the fact that we can have and allocate resources to education on a grand scale. And by that I mean we have and will have the ability to put kids in rooms like this with a screen behind me, that we are not now teaching one child, 30 children, however many in a classroom. We can teach thousands of children at the same time with the same curriculum, if that is the curriculum that is right for them, and have support people present and available so that they are now involved in an educational system that's meaningful to them. Because the whole idea of assessment education, which is what I've discussed, is the fact that you have told a child what their future can be. You're not putting them in a black room and saying, when you get out the door 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, you're going to be able to do something. You're now telling them, these are the things that you are most likely to be successful at. These are the things that you need, the tools that you need to get from here to there, if there is where you want to go. And that immediately invests in those children a reason to be educated. You put a child in a black room and he doesn't know what's on the other side of that door. If his parents haven't inculcated in him a thirst for learning, and that thirst for learning has taken hold, two different things. Parents can yell and scream until their cows come home, and if the kid isn't there to hear, and I don't mean listen, I mean hear what they're saying, then they can talk until they're blue in the face. But if they have the kind of relationship with their children and their children are invested in that process, then they go to a school and they say, I don't want to learn this. I want to learn this, this, and this, because that's what's going to make me a success. That's what will change and revolutionize education in America.
But the children themselves, are they capable of even knowing?
Until they are tested and told they are not capable of knowing any more than you and I were capable when we were kids, to know what our futures held for us, what we would be good at, what we would not be good at. Could you be a brain surgeon or some other discipline? How you got to where you are, and I don't need to have you tell me the story of your life, but how you got to where you are as a wage earner, as a professional, as a business owner, whatever. If you look back over that path, I would venture to guess that by and large it was by accident. It was not because when you were 10, 15 years old, you knew what the right path for you was, the one most likely to make you a success, the one where you could excel. And if you did, you may have done exactly the same thing that you did, but you would have done it knowing that it was the right thing to do much earlier in the process, and therefore you would have been invested in it. And that's what I think we need to do. Yes, sir.
To get this skill to do this evaluation, you need somebody who knows what they're doing.
Sure.
On my retirement, I became a learning leader in New York City as my shipmate. And so I've been doing this for about 5 years. And I'm finding that even teachers who I have seen to be very effective do not necessarily know either their subject or the skills to encourage the children to really flower. What about the teachers? What would you do to get us better teachers?
Well, first of all, the difficulty with our whole approach to teaching is that we require our teachers, by and large, to be generalists. And by generalists, I mean you've got kids in their class who range from very bright to not very bright, interested to uninterested, want to be there to want to be anywhere but there, and they have to homogenize the message to make sure that they are not leaving anybody out. When they are able to teach what they know needs to be taught and not have to keep compromising with the educational process that they know is the right educational process for the people who want to learn what they want to teach, that changes exponentially. A mediocre teacher can become a very good teacher if she's teaching kids who want to learn what she has to teach. If she is teaching kids who she knows doesn't want to learn what she has to teach, there is nothing that will sap her energy, her creative ability, her commitment to the job, her desire to make those kids a success than that. And that's what we have to change. We've got to make sure that those teachers have kids in front of them who want to learn what they want to teach. And one of the ways to ensure that that happens is by kids who know what they want to learn, by kids who know what they need to learn, so that when they come into that classroom, they don't ask themselves, is this relevant to me? Do I need this? And am I going to need calculus 40 years from now when I am in the real world? Do I really have to sit through this? And most of them say, at one class, if not another, no, I don't need this. Why am I here? Why am I being forced to be here when I could be doing something else? But you have him doing something that he knows or she knows is of benefit to her or him for the rest of their lives, they're going to take that much more seriously than they do today. And that's what we need to do, in my opinion at least. Anyone else? I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope that I will all see all of you at my next lecture. And just to remind you, it's on how we define and maintain freedom and individual liberty in an ever-increasing environment of intrusive technological advances and the need for national security. That's going to be on the leg to Florida for those of you who are going to be joining us for that part of the trip. And it's been a great pleasure talking to you today and listening to you today. Thank you.